しい嬉しい
With so many anime airing each season, it can be hard to keep track of which ones are good. That's why in this list, we'll be going over the top 10 most underrated romance anime of 2024. Number 10.
越すことになったの。
To start off the list, we have Tales of Wedding Rings, an anime that I thought would do much better than it did. With the show being an isekai plus a harem, many people automatically think it's your run-of-the-mill trash show for the season. But you'd be wrong. With the series, there is an interesting storyline, although it may be cheesy, which is accompanied by unique locations in which events take place. Now, although it's got a new touch on the isekai genre, it is still an isekai.
さよならさと楽しかったよ。
So if you don't like stories focused more on the enjoyment, then this isn't the one for you. Ultimately, this show could have performed much better with a few tweaks, earning it a spot on this list. Number 9.
付き合ってください
私の人生を大きく変えることになるとはつゆほども思っていなかったのです。
Next up is A Condition Called Love, another generic show that just doesn't seem to please the audience anymore. This story is a school romance where at first the main heroine ignores the guy, but over time they fall in love. With so many anime following this plot, I think people are starting to get tired of it.
やっぱりできないってなるかもしれないけど私も誰かを好きになってみたいって。
I could name countless school romance anime where this happens, while this series thinks they are the first to do it. I'm not saying the show is trash by any means, but I think it's underrated because of how many series there are similar to it. Overall, if you enjoy a heartwarming school romance, this is the one for you.
それだけ今までのこと全部それだけのために。
Number 8.
Oi.
Up next is Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. I'd explain the plot, but the title pretty much does it for you, so let's talk about why it flopped. With a unique storyline of the main heroine living 7 lives, you'd think it would help the series. You're wrong. Because the heroine has lived all of these lives, she is pretty much able to solve any issue, making it seem like there are no real conflicts.
夢？
さらにお前を国外追放とする。
痛い。
Now, like many others on this list, it has its good parts, really showing the heroine's personality and how she has grown over her past lives. Despite all of this, the show still underperformed what it should have been, making it an underrated anime that was overlooked by many.
そして願わくはどうか俺の妻になってほしい。
Number 7.
ください。
じゃあ。
Entering the list is Chillin in Another World with level 2 super cheat powers. Although this anime is relatively new, it just doesn't seem to be getting the love it deserves. With it being another one of the leveling up anime that we see so much nowadays, I think people are just getting tired of it. The series has a pretty generic plot, main character spawns in a new world but is hated, so he does his own thing, eventually finding some baddie that follows him around.
凶暴じゃないから襲っては来ないと思うけど。
私
Because of how generic it sounds, a lot of people would probably overlook it, not knowing there is more than it lets on. In conclusion, I would say this anime doesn't really have much thought behind the storyline. It seems like a copy of many others. Despite this, it is still entertaining to watch and makes me chuckle from time to time, thus claiming a spot on this list. Number 6. For the next anime on the list, we've got the Demon Prince of Momochi House. The story is unique, but at the same time, it's not. It starts off funny and seems like it will continue at that pace, but once you start watching it, it gets kind of old. With it being another one of the hot fox guy loving the run-of-the-mill girl, there is a lot of competition for it. Now, don't get me wrong, this series isn't bad at all. It just falls into a trap that many newer anime do.
大丈夫？どっか苦しいの？
とりあえず服着るまで待って。
Trying to copy a past popular anime storyline. You might be wondering, if it's so trash, then why is it on an underrated anime list? That is because although it is basically a copy of Kami-sama Kiss, it is still pretty good. The character designs are great, the humor is there, it just doesn't have that extra spice to make it really stand out. Before we continue, comment down below which anime on this list you agree with me on, or think I'm entirely wrong about. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's get back to the list. Number 5. Have you ever heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? This anime is exactly that. Astro Note may seem like some trash anime with bad graphics, but it's these strange graphics that really make it stand out. With it having some 80s to 90s feel to it, it can really bring you back to older anime you grew up loving.
彼氏いないみたいですよね。
きっと料理作れる人雇ったら惚れちゃうんだろうな。
惚れちゃうね。
間違いなく惚れちゃう。惚れちゃう。惚れちゃう。
For the first time on the list, I don't have anything bad to say about this anime. It has good unique art, funny elements to it, and great music. Now, the story may be a bit cheesy at first, but once you dive into the show, it really starts to make sense and you will warm up to it. As of now, the series has a pretty low rating across many sites, but hopefully after this video, y'all will give this hidden gem a shot. Overall, of all the anime on this list, Astro Note is probably one of the lowest rated anime simply because people don't want to give it a shot.
あなたの朝ごはんを作らせてください。
Number 4.
良い眠りだったか？
Barely missing the top 3, we have Unnamed Memory, an anime that I thought would do much better. With a well-written plot and beautiful animation, it brings up the question of why it isn't getting more love. Based on other reviews, I think most people think that the manga was much better, thus dropping it before it takes off. Like many anime, it takes the manga's storyline and tries to compile it into just 12 episodes, making some parts seem rushed.
魔法か。便利だな。
これくらいならいつでも。何かを焼き尽くしたいのなら要相談で。
Personally, I think the series is doing great, but maybe this is just because I haven't read the manga yet. Anyways, with a unique storyline and an overlying goal that the main character follows, there aren't many issues with the anime. Many have said that it is a breath of fresh air for switching up the typical romance and fantasy combo. In my opinion, this series is amazing so far, and hopefully it will continue along its current path to one day earn it a spot on another list. Next time, hopefully, for highest rated romance anime.
力はあらず、消失のための光を定義せん。
Number 3.
さようなら。どうか幸せな人生を。
「
私が一番愛した人。
Starting off the top 3, we have Dr. Elise, the royal lady with the lamp. This series started off really well, hooking a lot of viewers in with what seemed to be a unique plot, but as time went on, many weren't satisfied. Firstly, because it takes a lot of different elements of various shows and combines them into one. Many people can become confused while watching it. There are also a lot of parts on this show that low-key don't make sense at all.
お父様、お母様、クリスお兄様、レイお兄様。
The main heroine reincarnated like the 7th live anime just so that she could hopefully fix her love life, but ended up making it even worse. With her having lived previous lives, she is pretty much perfect but still gets disrespected from time to time. Like some of the others, you may be wondering why I think it's underrated, which I can answer with one word alone: animation. The character designs and locations within the anime are breathtaking, making up for some of the other holes in the plot. Now, don't get discouraged to watch this because I was honest about the series, because once you give it a try, it will not disappoint you.
お嬢様、エリーゼ。私、またエリーゼの体に戻ったの？
Number 2.
どうぞ。
なんだと？これは食べさせてくれるというのか？というかネフィが口をつけたスプーンだよな。いいのか？
As a runner-up on this list, we have an anime that personally I thought would be breaking charts by now. And Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride, does exactly what you would think. Some guy finding it hard to express himself. This may seem cheesy on the surface, but once you give it a shot, you start to really fall in love with the character's relatability.
料理ができるのか？
見よう見まねですが。
手料理！
With the main character being some overpowered guy that does whatever he wants when he tries love out, it isn't the easiest. The series' character designs are good, the animation is amazing, and overall the series just hits a sweet spot in my heart. I don't know about y'all, but the romance anime with the awkward moments that make you want to scream out really hit home for me. Although the series isn't super underrated, it definitely could use some more exposure and overall more love.
主導権をこちらで奪った。これはもうお前の魔法陣じゃない。
Number 1.
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
おい、なんだよあの綺麗な人。見たことねえぞ、あんな人。
At the top of the list, we have probably the biggest letdown of the 2024 season. Grandpa and Grandma Turned Young Again sounded like an interesting story that would take off because of how creative the idea was, but people just aren't giving it the love it deserves. You can guess how the story goes, and you would think everyone watching it would rate it highly, but you'd be wrong. Personally, I think it's a super unique dive into the romance genre that has never been done before.
じいさま、これって。
わしは何もしとらん。何も。
With the two main lovebirds already have lived a life of love together, when they are put back into their youthful bodies, you can only guess how it works out. The series takes those cute moments older couples have from being together for so long and makes you see what true love is like. Not only is the story unique and heartwarming, but the animation is pretty much perfect for the premise, showcasing what it would be like if two people married for a long time restarted.
じいさま。さっきなんも準備してねって言ってたべ。
ばさまこそちゃっかりごちそうを。
That wraps up the list. Let me know if I missed any anime that you think should have been on this list down in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Peace.